Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, and it's been a minute. It's been a decent chunk of time, but with that, we are jumping straight back in as I realize how tilted my tripod is. Though, even though it's tilted, it is still happening. Camera focus. It is still happening to be leveled because I leveled it without seeing if the legs were all leveled, and they're not. So we're in this situation. But with that, we are jumping straight back into the episode, which is starting with Tesla issues a license to Volex to build the North American connection, whatever the NACS connector, which is Tesla's connector that they have made, basically opened up it to make it the new charging standard in North America, which I've been begging for forever, and everyone has basically agreed to it, which is quite awesome to see. Now, all these articles from today are going to be a tiny bit outdated, but they actually aren't like super time-sensitive information. So that said, it's still kind of a relevant episode, which is great. But basically, Volex will be able to start manufacturing these. So it won't just be Tesla, which is awesome to see because at the end of the day, if this is going to be more widely accepted, it needs to be built by more than just Tesla who can't keep up with their own cars. So with that, that's great to see. Especially with the official standardization of the charging connector itself, making it more like getting gas for your car, where you could charge at any place without an adapter. And hopefully with that, it'd be great to see them establish some charging rates. Like if Tesla would open up, be like, okay, we have V1 supercharger, V2, V3. It would be great if they like just made that the standard as well for like charging speeds and push that to the industry as well. If they're going to keep being a leader, if their motto really is to push things forward to sustainability, they might as well keep making things the standards. And this is a great start. I'd love to see more. Lead the industry, push them in the correct direction. There's not many companies that are willing to do that, but Tesla at the moment seems like they're trying to push for that. And with that, we have, this one is a little bit more outdated, but Elon has said that Twitter will pay legal fees of any of users punished for posting on the site. Basically trying to say, hey, if you post here and that's why you lost your job, let me know. I'll back you. Which is, I can't imagine the amount of emails that Twitter is getting about this, let alone all of the people trying to get the free money or free help to do this. Now, with that, it'll be very interesting to see if any major players have this happen for them. And it's a weird thing to put out there. Is this, what other site would put that out there for somebody to, hey, reach out to us, we'll cover your legal fees if this happens. Like, that is kind of a wild thing to say. Now, who knows what's going on behind the scenes on that and whatever else. But to say it at all is very out there. And on top of that, with Twitter's new implementations of paying out their creators and stuff like that, you can actually make pretty good money on Twitter already. And it's just a text platform. I genuinely think if Twitter keeps heading this way, and this is something that probably won't happen, but if Elon gets less controversial and keeps pushing Twitter in this direction with how well they're trying to pay creators. I mean, they're trying to at least match YouTube. Nobody has been able to match YouTube for discoverability on top of how much money you can make from a platform consistently and keep it all free for the creators to put it on there. Now, with that, Twitch is, they're having to try because people are aware of that. And as we've seen, you might have bigger platforms like TikTok show up, Instagram shows up. All these platforms blow up for a little while. But at the end of the day, where do all of those creators want you to go? They want you to go to YouTube. And with that said, that is going to be one of the hardest things to get people to stop doing is pushing people to YouTube. Try and get them to push to X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it. That is going to be the hardest thing to do is convince people that they need another platform to go to for other people. It's kind of what we've seen happen with a ton of different sites. I mean, you have like kick.com, for instance. Now, can you do some wild stuff on there? Is it maybe for certain kinds of content? Yes. But there's a reason something like that can never get as big as YouTube is. And at the end of the day, it's because it's a one-stop shop to see any creator you want For the most, there's exceptions, but for the most part, any creator you want is on YouTube, and the creators are very incentivized to put their stuff on there because brands trust YouTube, and the trust of brands and stuff like that, you just can't get anywhere else. And with the way YouTube's able to pay out their creators, yeah, I mean, you just can't beat that either. And that is where things get very rough indeed. So with that, we'll have to keep seeing how this plays out. But for now, Elon is trying his best to get people to want to use Twitter more and more and more as their one-stop shop. Now, on top of the Elon topic, we have a little bit of some interesting things about the Tesla Semi. Now, there were early reports all over the place. Is the Semi good? Is it got enough range? Is it going to actually hit the range that Tesla's stating? I mean, there was just tons of ifs, ands, and buts in their articles going both ways. Yes, it's hitting the range. Yes, it's not hitting the range. But we do have Pepsi confirming that over 450 miles of range for the Tesla Semi and less than 1.7 kilowatt hours per mile, which is insane that they can hit that. Now, that said, the Tesla Semi can be charged from 5% to 90% in about 20 to 30 minutes. Now, the truck drivers are also reporting it has a great turn radius and is very comfortable to drive. 3 of the 21 trucks are on long-haul routes, and they are pulling full loads. They added a second substation, which is a charge station, basically. Excess added for 3 megawatts of electricity, I believe, and they added more electrical and charging infrastructure to help get these trucks where they're going. With that, it is wild that time and time again, obviously, real-world performance is going to vary much more with an EV than a gas vehicle, but out of all the companies that guess their range the best, Tesla seems to be pretty on top of what's happening. I will tell you from experience of driving big rigs like this, turn radius can be a pain in the ass to deal with, especially with the trailer swing, especially when you're making that giant turn radius and you start turning your truck, and as you can see, the trailer, it just cuts the turn early. That turn radius is so crucial to making it feel better on tight roads or smaller roads, or when you're just trying to turn into an area that's got a little bit smaller of a thing. So to hear that truck drivers are enjoying that part of it, that alone is something that electric cars will hopefully be able to keep doing way better than gas vehicles. And this seems to be at least what's, I guess they didn't say it's necessarily better, but to report it has that as a truck driver means that's something they noticed. And that is noteworthy as somebody who used to drive trucks quite a bit more. Now we have the FCC. This is August 4th here. So we're obviously 3-4 weeks off after this, but the FCC just slapped a robocall company with $300 million fine after it made 5 billion calls in just 12 weeks. Now, I got to be honest here. I don't receive nearly as many robocalls as I used to. That said, I don't put my phone number in anywhere on the internet, and I have a burner email that I use anywhere that I need an email, but I don't care anything important goes there. But this is wild. I mean, the fact that they can do that quickly, and that's all they get for a fine. Like, the robocall companies just shouldn't get rid of them. It's not worth it. Now, with that, how do you even make that many calls at a time here? This topic is more of a just what the fuck? How do they even manage to put out that many emails in that amount of time? But they're really doing it, and this is proof here, and it's so wild. Now the fine is hit an international network of companies after more than 5 billion robocalls were made to upwards of more than 500 million phone numbers in a 3-month period in 2021. So basically everybody was receiving like 100 calls per 500 million people, which, dude, that's so many phone calls. I mean, can you imagine if in 3 months you had 100 robocalls actually make it to your device itself? Like, you got to admit that spam blocking has gotten quite a bit better, and thank God, because it would be insane if it wasn't. Our favorite electric car company behind Tesla, Fisker, unveils the Alaska, a small electric truck for $45K. Reservations open now. Now, I don't know if I would actually say they're my favorite, but this is a pretty big deal to be releasing this product. So this not only looks like a more standard truck like you would expect to see from a normal car manufacturing company, but with the base price of $45K, we're really hitting a sweet spot here, especially if the specs can back it up. Now, the Alaska looks to be positioned just like an adventure truck rather than a work truck. Think Rivian, not the Ford F-150. So now we're not targeting the exact same base, but obviously you could use it for more than that, and it's a starting place. And like I said, if we can put some great range on this thing with that, whew, really have something to talk about here. So the Fisker says it won't be limited by the truck's versatility. While the truck has a 4.5 foot bed, it'll be expandable with a hidden midgate. Fisker calls the Houdini door. Now this will allow to pass through to the cabin, and with the tailgate folded down, Fisker says the truck will have 9 feet worth of flat space. So you can still stick your plywood in there if you really want to, though your back seats are now covered in plywood dust. But the truck isn't the only thing that's smaller. The price is too. Fisker says the truck will start at $45,400, which, after federal tax credits, at least here in the U.S., will put it closer to $37,900, which is something to consider, but not the biggest deal at all here. Now, I believe there are specs out now. I just don't happen to have them in front of me, so that will be for another episode. Never mind, they're right here, and I just should have waited. So the Alaska will start with 230 miles of range. Now, at the $45,000 price tag, you could argue that's actually pretty good. That said, I don't know how I feel about this front. I actually don't mind the side profile of this thing. Like, the side profile, it looks a little chonky. Like, I wish the tailgate was a little longer. It'd make it look a little bit better with this aggressively slanted front. But from the back and the sides, it looks... This is going to be a hot take, but it looks a little similar to a Rivian truck, in my opinion. So with that said, with a 230-mile starting range and up to 340 total, I would guess there's only going to be like 1 or 2 battery options. In this article, they had not announced it yet, but it'll be available in 2025, so that's 17 months from now. So now we're in a weird thing where that's the range of a lot of things today, and now we're saying it ain't coming for another year and a half, and that's a little more... Now it's not as exciting because the Cybertruck will be up by then, and the starting Cybertruck will be... I mean, it's technically going to be shipping at the end of next month, in theory, because there's a bunch on the roads right now, but it'll have starting 20 extra miles of range, which does not sound like a lot until you get into a real-world situation where your range declines, and then that extra 20 miles of range that you started with starts to look like more than you expected it to. So it does actually matter, especially in electric vehicles, but there's that. But it'll be cool to start seeing this. They're taking reservations starting as of the day this article came out of $250, so still taking those today. Not much else to say about that, though. Now, this is broken. This is a little bit older, too. This is from August 4th, but Threads has already lost more than 80% of its daily active users. Threads is a weird app to put out because you have Twitter, which is kind of the only viable text platform at the moment. Sure, there's Reddit, but boomers don't use Reddit as much, so Twitter is kind of it. Now, Threads, I would say, had the potential to claim some of that marketplace, especially after Elon taking it. But what happened here is a classic not really understanding what you're doing. This app should have been, honestly, they should have waited a tiny bit longer and perfected it more. To their daily active users, kind of a scam after they kind of, everyone with an Instagram account had a Thread account. Well, everyone with an Instagram account is going to check it out for a week and then tip off, because why wouldn't you just use the Instagram like everyone currently does? What is the reason that you need another text app like this? So I think at the end of the day, this platform will probably end up being kind of a swing and a miss for Facebook, but we'll see if I get proved right or wrong. In my opinion, it just doesn't seem like, did we really need another text app? And even if we did, it's such a horrible form of media anyways that was it really going to take off? I mean, that's exactly why Elon is moving towards video and content creators, because that is ultimately what matters way more on your platform than just, oh, you can put text on our platform. Oh, wait a minute, you can put text anywhere on the internet. So why do I need a specific platform? Twitter has cornered that market, and unfortunately, I don't see a way to force users to try something else. Threads tried their best, and again, maybe it'll make a comeback. Maybe Elon will blow up Twitter, and that'll be that. But for now, we'll see what's going on in the future here with Threads. But I mean, that's a rough loss. 82% is kind of wild. Not that, I mean, it was one of the most widely downloaded apps for a minute. So that's, it goes both ways, it turns out. And lastly, this is a little long ago, but AMD, the chip manufacturer, who has been making great grounds on catching up to Intel or even NVIDIA in terms of compute power, turns out had a problem. Now, for the Plaid Teslas, there is an unpatchable AMD chip flaw that would allow you to fully unlock your Tesla's features, in case you really, really wanted that. Now, Teslas are among the most popular vehicles on the market, which is not shocking. MCU, the media control unit, the touchscreen, the navigation, the entertainment system, is where the problem lies. Now, according to the researchers, they used a voltage fault injection attack, basically against the MCU-Z. Now, this class of attack is also known as voltage glitching, which essentially, we're going to dumb down a bunch here because this goes deep. And basically, you just kind of jiggle around some electricity, and that kind of tricks out the computer and puts you into a weird thing. Now, it gained root permissions, enabled arbitrary changes to Linux that survived the reboot and update. Researchers explained they allow you to attack and decrypt to decrypt the encrypted NVMe storage of the MCU. So the computer that runs everything, they get into the storage device on that and access private user data such as the phone book, calendar, entries, etc. And with that, unsurprisingly, you can exploit this to provide various actions to Tesla's subsystem and even optional content locked behind a paywall. Think you didn't have full self-driving? Now you do. Which is quite wild. So, for example, the 2021 Model 3 SR Plus vehicles can enable the cold weather feature, heated steering wheel and heated rear seats for an extra $300. This feature unlock is confirmed with the work of the exploit. So, in case you didn't know, Tesla, instead of making their vehicles to order, makes them pretty much all the same and then goes disable these things, and if they want them later, they can just buy them later. But saves us time in manufacturing because we don't have to have different lines with different parts in case the car needs to go there or there. It just goes through one line, gets everything, and then we can make money on it later maybe. So you can get a bunch of things for free. The Tesla Model Y long-range owners can also pay $2,000 for the acceleration boost, which takes just about 0.6 seconds off of the 0 to 60 timer for $2,000. Pricier options include enhanced autopilot. So that costs full $6,000, and full self-driving priced at an eye-searing $15,000 can also be claimed through this glitch. Now, what's interesting is this flaw is unpatchable. It means Tesla has no known mitigation solutions to counter it. Another consequence of the exploit is that it can extract an otherwise vehicle-unique hardware-bound RSA key to authenticate and authorize the car in Tesla's internal service network. So Tesla's internal service network controls autopilot updates, all the software updates, stuff like that a vehicle might receive when Tesla sees the vehicle is active on their network and is supposed to be, and wasn't like totaled and got all of its things removed because it's totaled that something could be wrong, throw off Tesla's data, and Tesla just doesn't, make more money if they have to come rebuy all that stuff for the car. So of course they don't want that, but this exploit allows you to extract basically the little key that lets you do that, and that's kind of wild as well. So in English, if a Tesla was totaled in a severe flood or crash, it would be flagged on Tesla's system as such and would not be eligible for access to Tesla's service. Think the supercharging network is a good example. Actually, I didn't even bring that one up. However, this could allow a salvage title Tesla to access the supercharger network, much to the upsetness of Tesla, who wouldn't want to risk such damage to its charging hardware with a busted car. So at the end of the day, there is some protection that Tesla's trying to do by having these things in place. And on the flip side of that, there's also a lot of consumer not friendly things that this does at the exact same time, unless you go through Tesla directly. But that said, I mean, this is kind of wild stuff that, every once in a while these big flaws get found, and this is one of them. And rip to Tesla for that. But with that, thank you guys for watching this episode. Hoping to get back more regular at this. And until then, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.